Hello and welcome back. Sean here, Mountains Garage. I'm down behind the garage in storage container, technically number 3, but for today's exercise we'll call it number 1. It showed up a week ago Monday, and number 2 next door showed up a week ago Wednesday. Pretty decent service. Now I already had 2 storage containers. 8 or 9 years ago, on a whim one morning, I said, you know what, winter's coming, I gotta get some storage because I have too much stuff. This is not a new problem. I called up a storage container place in New Hampshire. The guy said he'd be here an hour and a half. That gave me just enough time to go hook up the dump trailer, get 2 loads of stone, level it out, and he's backing in. I bought a green one. It's blended in nicely. When I opened the door, it smelled like plywood, and it's been a fantastic container. People had told me that they drip from the ceiling and everything inside is gonna rust, and they were horrible. But the green one is the exact opposite. I will show it to you before we finish up, but I built plywood shelves in a U around back from where I'm sitting, and it's always smelled nice. It doesn't drip. I've had raw metal in there for going on 10 years, and it's still raw metal. It's not rusting. Every pot I put in there is fine. So with that confidence, a couple years later, same story, I called the same guy, and all he had was beige or tan boxes. So I said, sure, why not? Same deal. He happened to have an opening in his schedule. He could be here in less than a couple hours. Hook up the dump trailer, go get a couple loads of stone, flatten it out, and the driver backs in with the wrong container. He brought one with a door on each end. I didn't want it, and it cost like $1,000 more than the one I was buying. So when he called the boss, because the driver wanted to leave it, he called the boss. He said, no, come back and get another one. The one they brought back, I've told the story before. We unloaded it, leveled it, he took off, I paid him, he took off. I opened the doors, and my wife could smell tuna in the house. It smelled like fish, not good fish. And it was pretty bad, but other than that, it looked fine. So I cleaned it out several times. I tried a lot of anti-odor measures, and it's okay from a smell perspective. But right up until this morning even, well, before I learned the hard way, I put shelving in it. I moved all my pots from my shop out there, all my pots inventory, all brand new stuff. That's when I learned it's sweat every morning. It rains water everywhere, which the floor's wet and it'll start to mold because it gets humid during the day. It's a horrible, horrible box. And I don't know why. It's not the tuna smell, because that's pretty much gone. Has to be a lack of venting. Now, these are all one-trip containers. The first 2 I just mentioned, they have 4 vents down the sides, and that's it. And that's more than a regular one. If you buy a C can, you can tell the difference because the one-trip models made for being a storage container here in America, the right-hand door only has 1 latch. And there's vents. If you buy a real C can, there's 2 latches on each door, like the left-hand door has still, and there's no vents most of the time. The one-trip containers are undercoated underneath, under the thick inch plywood, whatever this is, and a lot of cross members. They're made to sit on the ground. No worries there. They're made of what do they call it, Corten steel. It's not supposed to rust. I mean, they're made to be exposed to salt water, so no worries there. You buy a one-trip one, it's more money. It's probably $1,000 to $1,500 more than a used one. That all they guarantee is watertight, wind and watertight. So other than my bad experience with the tan or beige one that I already had, I mean, they're mouse tight. Mice can't get in. Spiders don't get in unless they crawl in with the door open. So it's rodent-free, and if they were all like my green box, they're perfect storage. So I did excavating, we've already talked about down here. Didn't go exactly as planned, but where we sit, there was a perfect spot for two 20-foot containers. I was only gonna buy one, and believe it or not, my wife said, why don't you buy two? Because you have a stuff problem. I asked her if she was feeling okay, and then I went ahead and did that. A single 40-foot box would have saved me almost $2,000 versus buying two 20-footers and having them delivered, because delivery costs money. So when I called to order two green boxes, because it's not the color, but superstition, whatever it is, I was gonna go with green and they didn't have any, and the beige ones were on sale for about $500 a piece cheaper. So beige or tan it was. My location's different. I'm in the shade most of the time over here, especially in the morning when things are warming up. So this morning, like I mentioned, I went and opened all the boxes. The tan box, it's raining inside. I mean, it's dripping on my hat when I walked in the door. The green box, nice, nice. It's just beautiful in there. The ceiling's dry, and over here, everything's fine. So I'm hoping these boxes here are fine. Now, these two that I got last week came from a company here in Maine, SR1 Containers. One phone call, a couple days, they were here. And this time of year, they're selling a lot of containers, so that's pretty good. The driver did a great job. I could have saved money if I thought he could get the 40-foot trailer in here that'd bring two on one trailer. Probably should have tried, because I'm pretty sure I could back it in here, so he probably can too. But I didn't, because I only ordered one initially, and there would have been a savings buying two at the same time. But when I called back, they knocked a couple $100 off it, so hey, life is good. They are sitting here level on stone. The driver did a pretty good job lining them up. Yesterday, I ordered a week ago, but there's a V4 box. I don't know if you can see it, but they sell container accessories, believe it or not. A lot of people do. There's websites dedicated to modifying and loving your container. For 20-something bucks each, I bought the bottle jack adapters. They go, all containers have 8 holes, these giant cast corners with holes, and when they load them on a ship, that's where they hook in to lower it in, and that's how they bind them together. There's lots of uses for the holes. In this case, there's an egg-shaped little piece you put in, turn it around, it has a shelf, and the bottle jack sits underneath it, and you can jack them up. And I only had to kick a few rocks under it, and I'm now perfectly level container to container, plus I use the level. And in the future, I can jack at will. It's gonna settle, probably, but it's a big footprint, so I like them downhill just a little bit so the doors don't always want to close. I don't want the door to run me over when I open it, but we're talking, not even a half a degree probably, but I am okay with having them headed this way a little bit. So, and it's a lot easier. I have ledge all around the backside to put my jacky things under the front. You can do one. You don't need to buy two like I did, but it was a bargain, of course, so I bought two. And you only really need one if you're just leveling, but eventually I'm gonna move my other two boxes down here, probably behind you, where you're at. And I wanted two of the jacky things so I could jack it up and put the wheel kit on, so that I don't have yet, but they're out there. So now you got a great big box, and if you just put stuff in here on the floor, you're wasting a lot of space. So you need some type of shelving unless you're putting a vehicle and stuff in here. Now, I would have loved a 40-footer, put parts on one end and a vehicle in the other, but the vehicle is going to block your access to the parts unless you buy one with more doors. There's a lot of options. You'd have to put it in the middle of a field to be able to get to both sides, or however your situation works out. For me, I don't want to give up that much real estate to get to both ends of a 40-footer. So I sucked it up and bought the 20s with only one door. I don't remember exactly what I spent almost 10 years ago, but lumber was a lot cheaper, and I built plywood and 2x4 shelves, which again, I promise I'll show you. And I made them custom size. Calculated how wide the shelves could be to get maximum out of a 4x8 sheet of plywood, and that's what I did, so there's no scrap to speak of. And 2x4s and screws in a couple days. The day we built it, there was a tree across the road. We'd had a big windstorm. It was in October, and my son was out of school for a couple days, so he actually helped me. He's only about this tall. I got a picture of him laying on one of the shelves, and we recreated that photo here in the other container, but he's a lot taller now. So my intent, after the second container was dropped off a week ago today, or a week ago today, I was gonna build shelves. I was hooking up the trailer, gonna go get some wood, build some shelves. And then I walked by one of the pallets of stuff I had moved from this area while we're excavating, and my buddy had given me a bunch of pieces of pallet rack, and it's behind me right there. I knew I had some wire rack. I did a little figuring. I had 3 uprights, but only 2 were any good, and they'd been welded on. I had enough wire rack for 4 shelves, and what you see behind me is that. Once again, my son helped me put that together. It's an old teardrop style assembly process, and everything's tweaked just enough with extra paint on it. It went together hard, but it's together, super rugged, and we'll get to why, but I had some extra plywood after today's activities, and I put the extra plywood on the wire racks. Kind of prevents things from falling down in between, depending on what you're putting there. And my intent for the big rack, because it's so big, is either half a shelf or a whole shelf dedicated to the parts for a specific project. So everything I get for whatever vehicle is going to live on the shelf together instead of spread all over the place. Because now I'm kind of giddy. I have 2 empty boxes, a bare slate or easel, if you will, to hopefully alleviate some of my problems. So then I wasted a whole day. I did not go get lumber. And then I started pricing out lumber compared to, again, I don't want to seem like a V4 lover, but I haven't been disappointed yet with their products. For $109 a piece on sale, there was these 60-inch shelves, 24 deep. Little calculation, I knew I could get 2 this way, right? Yep, 2 this way. And because the pallet racking is so wide, I didn't want to have 2 feet this way necessarily, but I saw these hanging brackets. These hang, every container has tie downs along the floor and along the ceiling. And these commercial brackets, you have to assemble them, but they just hang, and they hold quite a bit of weight, not as much as these. These are like 2,200 pounds maybe. These will hold almost that, 1,800 maybe. But at $140 for a set of 4 brackets, it seems like a good deal to start, but you have to have the lumber. And lumber is not cheap these days. But I had built a front porch, bear with me, 12 years ago maybe. And the last second, I remember it was after Thanksgiving, it was cold out, but it hadn't snowed yet. I went and got a ton of pressure treated lumber and made a step all the way around it. So 36 feet and what, 10 by 10. So I had a lot of pressure treated lumber. And last year I replaced that, 1 for looks, 2 to make the wife happy, those kind of go together, and 3, I was trying to outsmart a groundhog. I don't know who's won that battle yet, but I had a hardscape guy come in and put granite steps around there, and all my pressure treated was been sitting over on one of my trailers. During the excavation process, when my buddy would put the digging bucket on, I would start disassembling all the brackets. And I had all this lumber sitting here, did a little quick measuring and realized that I could fill most of it with lumber I already had. I don't need pressure treated in here, but it is what it is. I only had to buy today 1 2x12, 16 foot long, And I had all the other stuff, and I've married it together, and in a crude fashion, because these are 2-piece, but the 2x12 is 1 piece, so I just connected these in the middle back there, and it's a shelf. What I like about it is I have access to put engines or transmissions on the little moving dollies, or anything that I want. I have some floor storage without giving up a whole wall worth of stuff. If you put something against the wall, you lose all that space without the shelving. And in both cases, it worked out with a little measuring. You come in that door. I like to have a little bit of room, or if I need to throw something in here real quick, I have room, and I'll try to leave this little area here empty where everything else is dedicated to stuff. Now let's go next door. All right, hopefully you can still hear me. There's a couple of jets going over and the birds are going nuts, but here it was more of the V4 shelves. I ended up spending over $1,000 in shelves, but I think I would have spent that much in wood, almost, and I wouldn't have as many shelves, and I would have to spend more time building them. I got pretty good at putting these together. I did that yesterday and last week. I bought a bunch and realized I wanted to just finish it out. This container number 2 or 4, depending on how you count it. I wanted to just completely fill it with shelves. And this is where all the new parts are gonna go. I didn't finish the thought. These 2 containers that I bought have 5 vents down either side, and 2 in the back and 2 on the doors, 1 on each door. So that's quite a few more vents than I have in the other ones. And again, I don't know why the tan box is raining and the green one isn't, because they have the same amount of vents. It's the same container pretty much, only built a couple of years apart. All I can do with the tan one, when I move out of it, which is my plan, is to add more vents, clean it out. I'm going to use it to replace my rotten shed, because these are so far superior to the sheds you see for sale everywhere. I actually stopped. There's a shed place here in Standish, Maine, and I was appalled by the quality. You stand inside and I'm looking at daylight, which means mice see it as a hotel. The trim was falling off. It was made of the cheapest stuff, and it was about 4 times more than one of these. So ridiculous. Now, so back to the shelving. I bought more of the 60-inch by 24. I was able to go all the way around until I got to this 4-foot section here. I left a little bit of space here. I don't know if it really picks it up on camera, but I needed a 4-foot shelf. And the dimensions are a little bit different. The 4-foot shelf, smaller, was $20 more because it wasn't on sale, but I didn't want to waste this space, so sorry my school bus alarm went off and stopped the recording, but we're back. So yesterday, all the shelving was assembled. I track in a lot of dirt. I blow it out with my Milwaukee M18. Blow gun works pretty good. But I got to thinking this morning, I know my plywood shelves were a success for a couple of reasons. One, the box doesn't drip. 2, but if it did, the first shelf protects the rest of the shelves. So if you're careful what you put up on top and you have plywood on it, or a roof if you will, it will protect everything else. So I sucked it up, and it's almost $30 a sheet for 1/2-inch CDX plywood. I had to go buy that 2x12 anyway, 16-footer, so I hooked up the car trailer and threw on 5 sheets of 1/2-inch CDX plywood, and I cut it up, and I was able to do all the tops of all the shelves, and I had enough extra pieces to cover that pallet racking too. So all of them, well, 3.5 out of the 4 shelves. That was just a bonus, and including this one, I got 2. And it's bowed, it's banana wood. What do you expect for $30, right? But obviously the weight's gonna straighten it out. And it's nice to have a couple shelves that, again, won't filter parts down through. I'm not gonna put a lot of loose stuff, but sometimes it happens, and I can select the correct shelf to do that. And again, I'll try to just put totes, etc. up top. So I left an opening back there. That's a 60-inch shelf. I slid it to one side. It spaced this out 2 feet, which made it come down here pretty decent. And spots like that, I have like two boxes of wheel tubs unassembled, so in a long cardboard box. Radiators, stuff like that. It's nice to tuck them into a little hole, so I was okay with that. And this is just cardboard, if you can see me, but it was in the packing material, only on the 48-inch shelf. But that's my containers. I documented this day. It's funny, I need to get like the other tan box back to this condition, which is not easy when you spent years piling stuff in there. I try to be picky, but that box is out of control. Sometimes a whole project comes home, you buy a car that's all blown apart, it comes with a lot of boxes. It takes up a lot of space. So I'm looking forward to putting like things in like places. Let's go peek in the other boxes real quick and we'll call it a day. Hang on. The sun isn't real favorable over here. This box is a mess, but I'll be sorting it out. But these plywood shelves have served me well. This was the narrow side with the, sorry about the sun. I believe they're 18 inches wide, and this side is wider. Again, I look forward to sorting some of this out, but this box, everything in here is just like you bought it from the store today. Just opened up the tan box. Again, I had it open this morning. Floor is gross. It grows mold and such. I don't know if it's mold, but you can see the water still on the ceiling. It's about 80 degrees in here. You think it would have dried out. It's not humid, but it's better than it was this morning, but I don't understand why this box does it and the other three don't. Chaos in here. It's also not completely lost on me that this is not inexpensive to store junk, but it's not junk. And if you're gonna be a car guy, car person, whatever, you're gonna have stuff, and the stuff has to go somewhere. I sometimes wonder, if you calculated it, would it be cheaper to buy a part and have it show up just in time to install it? That ship has sailed for me. A lot of, excuse me, manufacturing is done like that now. They don't warehouse a lot of parts. They rely on the chain, the delivery chain, supply chain to get them the stuff in time. Just in time sourcing, it's called. Again, that's lost on me. You can hear the school bus, propane. We're saving the world at 3 miles a gallon. But yeah, I got my stuff and I got to take care of it, and it is what it is. So thanks for watching, and catch you next time.